position because this is not very comfortable. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Savannah Rose, and if you are not new here, just welcome back. I make videos about life, more specifically directed towards lessons that I've learned that I hope you can learn from me instead of having to go through those things yourself, because it's so much easier to learn from somebody else's mistakes and apply those principles than to go through them yourself. Of course, on top of that, we also laugh, we cry, we experience the situations together. And today, actually, I'm going to talk about something that may be a little more specific to a particular crowd of you. I apologize if this doesn't apply to you, but then again, I shouldn't be apologizing because it does apply to a lot of people and it's very important to talk about it. And so the main topic of today's video is going to be bipolar disorder and living with bipolar disorder, and coming from an approach where I do not currently go to therapy. I do not currently take any medications. So this is going to be very real, raw experience of it without any help from the outside. Specifically, I actually today purchased, with one of my Audible credits, Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Adam Evans. It just talks about designing your life and really just focusing in on turning problems into solutions, but finding just as much joy in finding a problem as finding the solution, because as a designer, designing your life, it's so good to have problems, because without problems you can't find solutions. And it's important to be able to find the value in those little problems, because we're able to create such amazing solutions once we focus in on the actual problems we're having in our lives. Any kind of initial diagnosis on bipolar disorder is very shocking, and it's very hard to cope with. A lot of people refuse to seek help, refuse to acknowledge that this could be their problem, because it's not something that you can't live with. It's not something that you can't be okay with and you can't cope with. However, it is something you cannot ignore, because if you do, you're just gonna live your whole life like going up and down on this roller coaster. And if you're just wondering why me, and you have this diagnosis, you're not giving yourself the time or the space or the love and the care that you need to be there for you. There's nothing wrong with you, not crazy. It's the biggest thing. Get those things out of your vocabulary. You're not crazy, you're not insane, you're not XYZ. You're just, your brain just works a little differently, and you just have to learn to cope with that and be there for yourself. I actually watched a TED Talk yesterday. I can't remember what it's called. I remember that the guy's first name was Rodrigo, and he was like younger, like my age-ish. And I'll put it in the description below. But he was talking about how he would be so successful and riding on top of life and just in a job that was supposed to make him successful, make him happy, that was supposed to be it, but really he was just sad and he didn't know why, and he felt dark. And on the outside he projected this like cartoon-like character where it's like, I'm so excited, I'm so successful, everything's going so amazing, but then like behind the wall you might not even be letting yourself realize that you're not feeling fulfilled, you're not feeling successful, you're not feeling there for yourself. At the end of the TED Talk that I was watching, he was talking about kind of spiraling, and he'd go up and then he'd go down, and he wasn't sure what was going on. And then he now works doing Uber driving, and he gets to spend the rest of his time working on his own things. I think he's training to like skiing and all this stuff on the side, because that's just what works for him. And people ask, what do you do with your, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm an Uber driver, and people aren't satisfied with that. But he is so fulfilled and so happy in who he is. And that's the most important part. Everybody's different. There are people that just like pack up and move away to some like remote location to like write poetry with their whole life, and they are so happy doing it, and they're so satisfied. And that's not conventional. A lot of people don't agree with that approach. A lot of people don't understand it, and so they don't support it. But it needs to be about what you support in yourself. You have to do something, of course, that's sustainable and something that'll keep you going. But on the other end of things, like you can't just submit to something because it's what society says you're supposed to do. You can't get a typical 9-to-5 job if you can't hold down a typical 9-to-5 job. I have had more jobs than I care to admit out loud. I counted them the other day. I wish I didn't, but I did. And the only thing that's starting to make me realize that I need to realign myself and reconfigure everything is starting to be okay with who I am. It's starting to be okay with having these crazy ups where I think I'm doing great and I think I'm super successful and I think I'm amazing, and then these crazy downs where I have to self-analyze and I have to be in this place where it hurts and it sucks. But that's how my mind works. That's how I have to realign. Going back to the book, you have to be able to focus in on what the issue is and actually treat the problem, not the symptom. If you are having a hard time with sorry, my butt like totally is hurting right now on this thing. You have to analyze the core of the problem, because if you pick at all of the symptoms and try to treat each symptom, the core of the problem is never going to go away. Sometimes maybe it's just that you have to have a conversation and get something adjusted at your work, and then that kind of helps to fix all your problems. Maybe you've been there for a while, you ask for a raise or promotion, and you get like different types of responsibilities that make you feel fulfilled. But sometimes it's the job itself. My personal solution after watching that video was, oh my god, like I have all of the things set up to be a DoorDash driver. Like, let's just go do that. Just enough to pay my bills, do my thing, so that I can make my art and I can build that into something, because that's my investment. You know what's going to ultimately make you happy. It's scary to get up and go pursue that, because what if? It's always what if. But when we find the value in those problems, and we find the value in the system, and taking a problem and turning it into a solution, then we can really start to cultivate great things within ourselves, cultivate happiness, cultivate growth. You have to be able to look at your life and say, what's not working? And follow the opportunities that come up when you start to open that door. Because once you open that door, the possibilities are there. You just have to pursue them. And especially when it comes to bipolar disorder, we have a very hard time coping with not being there for ourselves, and not listening to who we want to be, and not living passionately and for a purpose, and making things happen. And maybe as somebody with this disorder, or even just somebody who's kind of flighty and has a hard time like listening to authority and keeping a regular job, maybe you do need to do something independent, like work for DoorDash or Uber or something like that. And it's not an end-all solution. And I only listed 2 things. There's other Grubhub, Lyft, whatever. But it can be something that helps you to have the time to at least look at your life and say, what do I want to do? Before this, I was working like 65 hours, 70 hours a week. I can't do that. And I was letting my dog slip through the cracks, and I was feeling like a horrible dog parent and all these things. And you just have to be able to take the time to look at what's going on with yourself, with your life, and make alterations to it, because ultimately doing the same thing over and over again is not going to fix things. I really, really, really just hope that if anything you take away from this video, that it's okay to not know what the answer is. But it's not okay to know what the problem is and not work on finding the solution. Even if the first solution that you find, say it's just a new job, doesn't work out, you can go find another one. Even if you run into a wall, it's okay. Your nose isn't broken. I know you're fine. And even if you do suffer from some losses, and even if you do fall on your face and things don't work out the way that you think they're going to, at least you're working towards something better. Eventually, you try again with the right mindset and with your head pointed in the right direction. Opportunities are going to come up that are going to lead you to the right solution, to the right path, to something that is going to bring you so much joy and so much peace that it was all worth it. It might be painful, but it's going to be worth it, especially compared to not dealing with it and not healing and not being who you're meant to be. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that this like play structure thing wasn't too big of a pain in the butt for anybody. I know that it kind of was for me, but anyways, vertigo plus being upside down is not a great idea, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, your week, your month, your existence, and that you will tune in to more of my videos.
soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll check in with y'all soon. And please go read that book, Designing Your Life. I know that was just a little bit that I've been reading out of it, but it's really been helpful for me. All the blood's running to my head. Bye guys.